Okay, this is part two of chord note mapping using the top note feature. And here on our master track, we have just four measures of four chords: a one chord, a major seventh chord, a major ninth, and a sixth chord, a 1/6 chord. So if we go double click on your empty phrase, go to the phrase editor, and we're going to create a note on G. We're going to create a whole note on G4. Right now it's mapped to note. It's mapped to the numbers here, but we don't want that. We want to map to the top. So let's select top. Okay, so our G is mapped to the top note, and that's our phrase. Play one whole note, map it to the top note of the chord. Okay, so let's save this phrase, and we'll call it whole note top whole note top map. Okay, and we'll put it in our directory where we are keeping all these experiments. Chord note mapping. Okay, and we'll hit save. Phrase save. Very good. Okay, so now we go to our composition, and here's our phrase, whole note top. Right? Let's delete that. Go to the beginning. We've got whole note top highlighted, so we can do the fill with whole note top, and there we go. And as you probably guessed, we've got here are notes. So measure 1, the top note of a C major triad is G, so we've got the G. Measure 2 is a C major 7th chord. Top note of a C major 7th chord is B. There's our B. Measure 3 is a major 9th, and the top note of a C major 9th is D. Measure 4 is a major 6, 1/6 chord. Top note is A. Okay, so if we play that, and that's that. That's how our oops. So that's how our top note mapping plays out in the context of a 4-bar composition with different chords. Okay, it's going to map to the top note of each chord, and as you can see, that is entirely, you get an entirely different result using top note mapping versus using the mapping with these numbers. Because if I change this to, if I map this to number 3, right, it's still on G with a C major, but okay, you get here. But if I do that on these other phrases, what's going to happen, if I map these to number 3, they're all going to give me the 5th. Okay, so I'll map this one to number 5. I'm sorry, to number 3. Okay, and I'll map this one to number 3. Okay, so when we map to the 5th, we get the same exact note in all 4 measures. Okay, so that's the difference between mapping to this first grouping. I wish I had a better name. I know I'm being a little confused when I refer. I don't know how to refer to this first group, these 2 rows with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the second group it's easier because these are all top. But if you've got any suggestion for kind of a better name for this group and for this group, so we can keep this thing a little bit more clear, I'd be really grateful for that. Anyway, I think you guys get the idea. The difference between mapping to these numbers in the first 2 rows and then mapping to the numbers, the top numbers in the second 2 rows. Okay. Yeah. So now, mind you, I don't know if I've said this in other videos, but the phrase editor allows us to combine different mappings. So we can have a note, one note mapped to number 3, and then we can do another note, another G, but this time we can map it to top. Okay, they're both G's, but this phrase will play differently on different chords, and let's prove that to ourselves. So I'm going to hit apply changes to composition. Okay, now let me open up this phrase and we're going to see a difference. Okay. Wait a minute. So here we map this to 3, then we did another quarter note. Now we're going to map this to top and see it jumps up here. Okay, so that's what we get here. Now if we do the same thing on the 1 major 9, we'll map this, put it on G, and then map it to the top. That's going to jump up to the D, right? And lastly, on the 6th chord, we'll put another quarter note here, map it to the top, apply changes to composition, and we get GA. So let's hear that. Okay, that's musical. Now notice if we take this last one and we change this back to major, okay, the note automatically jumps down. So it's very important to remember that in all these cases, okay, and we have four phrases here, correct? But all 4 phrases are exactly the same. They're exactly the same. Okay, they're a quarter note on the first beat, a quarter note on the second beat. Okay, the quarter note on the first beat is mapped to number 3. The quarter note on the second beat is mapped to top. Okay, it's all the same. If I click on this one, 3, top. Okay, if I go to the 9th, 3 top. All right, but the chords are different in all 4 measures. So this is the power of this whole mapping scheme, is that you can create one phrase with this mapping, this chord note relative mapping scheme. One phrase will play differently on different harmonies, on different chords. And that's the beauty of it. That's the power of it. Okay? All right. We'll see you in the next video.